BeTheTalk, episode 265, featuring Allen Klein. Welcome to BeTheTalk. We go behind the talk 7 days a week for tips and techniques to help you change the world. I'm Nathan Eckel, and a talker myself. I'm interviewing others who change the world with their talk. You can too, even if you've never given a talk before. Let's get started with today's show. We are live with Allen Klein. Allen, are you ready to talk?
I am always ready to talk. Yes.
Jerry Lewis has said that Allen Klein, the world's only Jollytologist, is a noble and vital force watching over the human condition. Klein is an award-winning professional speaker, TEDx presenter, and author of 26 books, including the bestseller, The Healing Power of Humor. Allen Klein, welcome to the talk.
Great to be here.
Your talk is called Our Thoughts and Intentions Create Our Reality. And this is amazing to me because, I'm watching Seinfeld the other day, and I'm watching your Merv Griffin set design get dumpster hijacked by Kramer 20 or 30 years ago, and he sets it up in his apartment, and you designed the Merv Griffin set. This is amazing. Please take us behind the talk.
I did. Since I was 7 years old and my parents took me to a Broadway show, I wanted to be a scenic designer. I wanted to make those pretty pictures. And so I went back to school and I would take a shoebox, a cigar box, and I would make a diorama of the book that we were reading in the class. I was basically making a little stage set. So from that time on, I wanted to be a scenic designer. And then I finally, high school, college, I finally got into Yale Drama School, the most prestigious theater design school in the country at the time. It was a 3-year master's. And at the end of the first year, I was kicked out. I was told I had no talent. And I thought, it was my intention. It was my thinking to be a designer since I was 7 years old. How can you tell me I'm not a designer? So I went back to New York City. After a year or two, I got into the Scenic Design Union, very strict tests to do that. And I got a job at CBS Television where I designed Merv Griffin, Jackie Gleason, and some of you listeners may know the Captain Kangaroo Show.
Yeah, that would be me. Old Mr. Green Jeans and the whole lot of them. This is a little old school, but my gosh, powerful stuff. Now, there's a scenic design union in New York City with strict regulation guidelines and testing. Can you give us a little bit of backstory on that? That's fascinating to me.
Yeah, the test to get in the union takes over a month. And you get a project to take home and design it for a month. So you might get an opera, you might get a Broadway play. I got the opera Don Giovanni. And then you go for a whole weekend, whole day Saturday, whole day Sunday, and you get questions like, so what I designed basically was the costumes, the sets, and the lighting. And you get there on Saturday morning, and one of the questions is, well, the director doesn't like your set for the ballroom scene. You have an hour to redesign it.
This sounds like great fodder for some kind of reality show. This sounds like the Celebrity Apprentice or something like that. It's almost a different tilt on that. All apologies for bringing up the current administration, which some people don't want me to do. But back in the good old days when he was doing reality television show that wasn't really real life reality television show, these were epic, time compressed stress tests for people. And you were right in the middle of it.
Right there. And so you got a whole day of that, redoing your costumes, your lighting, additional questions. And then Sunday, they gave you a little like a 8x10 picture, and then you had to reproduce it on a canvas that was like 8 feet by 10 feet. So, and you did that all day. Wow. So very stringent test, but I did get it. I failed the first time, got in the second time, And then I got that great job at CBS television. So my professor at Yale was a little bit off base. I had talent, and I worked at CBS for 10 years doing all their children's shows and all those other shows too.
Well, this is just incredible because I love how you started out with you said like a shoebox and some really basic materials and your history lesson or your homework assignment or whatever. And you would, as a hobby, do set design, and you were already building this world in your own brain and to a basic extent your outer world from a very young age. So when you hit that resistance, you didn't pack up your toys and go home and give up on life. You said to Yale University, hey, you're wrong. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pivot, and this is really uncomfortable, but I'm going to make this work. What a great lesson for us all.
And it was, nobody could tell me if I want to do something, nobody could tell me I can't do it.
Well,
even the head of Yale Drama School.
Well, and it's powerful because if we just looked at the title of your talk alone and didn't listen to the actual talk, didn't listen to this backstory, your title of your talk is called "Our Thoughts and Intentions Create Our Reality." And a lot of times in popular business psychology, we just think, oh, just go and meditate and it causes the world to bow down at your feet and not give you any trouble or resistance. But you really mean this. Our thoughts and intentions do create our reality, because when you get, you unfortunately fail a test and get, booted out of the dream school, your thoughts and intentions, if you don't compromise them, still will ultimately create your reality. So in short, I'm happy that it's just great because this backstory is not one of, having a silver spoon in your mouth and everything going your way. It's determination. There's a grit and a tenaciousness that it belies this nice title of your talk. Love to hear you expound on that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know the expression be, do, have. But if you want to be anything, just imagine yourself being it. So since I was 7 years old in that theater production, looking at a Broadway show, I saw myself as a scenic designer. I told people I wanted to be a scenic designer. And they would look at me, 7 years and go, what is that? They didn't even know what it was, but I knew what I wanted to be. So be it. And then do it. So I went to school. I learned how to do it. I did 5 years of summer stock, often doing 10 shows, 8 musicals and 2 plays in 10 weeks to learn my craft. And then to do, I was doing it. And then you have it. I became a scenic designer.
I love it. Hey, Jackie Gleason show, I've seen a little bit of that just because of some things that I've done in the past and some programs that I've put together. Captain Kangaroo, Merv Griffin show. Is there any kind of little secret design elements or little things that the casual I would not pick up that maybe you put in there that you could tell us about, or anything that we wouldn't normally know about those sets?
Well, Captain Kangaroo, the set, I don't know, you probably don't remember it, but you can look online and there are pictures of it. I was inspired by a Tinker Toy because they're often spindles and little balls and so the whole house, I called it Victorian Tinker Toy. It looked kind of like a Victorian house, but made out of kind of an enlarged Tinker Toy set.
I remember my Tinker Toys. I don't know about you, Talk Universe. Depending, if you're under the age of 35, you don't even know what we're talking about. I'm 43, so you 40-year-olds, you know what a Tinker Toy is. This has been great. Any other? So the Tinker Toy. So the Captain Kangaroo set was like a Tinker Toy, or at least the house was. Any other little trivia that would be amazing for us to know?
Yeah, like as a designer, I not only did the backgrounds, but if Bunny Rabbit, people don't know what we're talking about here. Some of them.
Well, you got to look up Captain Kangaroo on YouTube. Right. It's up there.
if Bunny Rabbit was tricking Mr. Green Jeans into giving him some carrots, and he did a machine, and he would tell Mr. Green Jean, press a button here, and all these carrots would come out, I was the one who had to design that machine. So I had to think like a child. I had to think, well, what would a child do? A child would go in the kitchen and get a strainer or pot or pan, and would go in the garage and get a box and maybe paint some things on it, might paste some things on it, might get some buttons to put on it. Just think like a child. And I think that really influenced my later life. Like now when I'm playful and I'm into therapeutic humor, I think a lot of that, when I look back, was influenced by childlike thinking.
Well, we've been enjoying this conversation with set designer Allen Klein. We're talking about all of these wonderful old school sets that he designed. His talk is called Our Thoughts and Intentions Create Our Reality. And we're going to be back with Allen Klein in just a moment for the Blitz Round. People ask, how could I start a 7-day-a-week podcast? It's because of what I've learned from my mentors. Some of the best mentors in history aren't around anymore. They've left hours of one-on-one mentoring behind in their books. Each month at Classics on Tap, I record a new chapter from a classic business book to help you make a difference. Download your first chapter at classicsontap.com. And we are back with Allen Klein. It's time for the Blitz Round. I'm going to ask Allen a series of either-or questions related to the preparation and performance of his recent talk. Allen, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right.
I think.
Great. So were you invited to speak or did you apply?
Well, that's an amazing thing, and it's why I chose that topic. In January, 2 years ago, I put on my bucket list that I wanted to do a TED Talk. In February, exactly a month later, I got an unsolicited email from the TED Talk people saying they're putting it together and they would like me to speak at it. And so I think they wanted me to do a program on humor because that's what I normally did. And I could have done that, but suddenly I had this passion, particularly since I created the TED Talk. You know, somebody asked me to do the TED Talk, how I created that just with my intention, that's what I wanted to really talk about. And particularly since it was a high school audience, I wanted to make them aware that, like what happened to me in Yale, don't let anyone ruin their day. Don't let anyone tell them they can't do something. And so I had the passion to share with them my new thinking, my new learning about how our thoughts and intentions help us create our reality. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And that's what I proposed to them, which they said I could go and do.
So you're in the industry. Are you a memorizer, a improviser, or a blender?
I'm a memorizer, but I've taken a number of improv classes. So, because I think often people come up to me and say, Allen, you're really funny. And then when I look back at my program, it was the audience that was really funny. And what I did is I picked up on that. I improvised with what they were saying or what they were doing. And so they thought I was the funny one, but it was the audience that started all that. So it's kind of a blend, I think. Yeah.
Well, what's a tip, tool, or technique that helped you?
Tip, tool, or technique. Well, what happened was, this was amazing to me, because what happened was the people before me, the TED Talk people before me, they had us sit in the audience, and then when they introduced us, they came walking up on stage. And I thought, this is pretty boring, and I was getting pretty tense, and I needed to do something to lighten up. So they had a big TEDx sign on stage. So during the break, I went crouched behind the sign on my hands and knees. And when they introduced me, I popped up like a Jack in the Box. And I'm not sure anyone in the audience realized that, but I got it, and I start laughing, and it just set the whole tone for my talk. And I'm so glad I did that.
Yeah, because I mean, I call that when you're sitting, line by line, seat by seat in and the person two down goes, and then the person next to you. It's like the piano recital effect. And it's not very fun. It's not very good on the nerves. So good for you, Alan, for practicing what you preach. Yeah.
So you need to take charge. The tip would be take charge of the situation and make it work for you.
For sure. What was this is the cut for time question. What was the most painful part of the talk that you had to cut out?
Well, I didn't have to cut out anything, but what the painful part for me was we had a rehearsal in the morning, and I was on stage and all these bright lights, and I'm halfway through the talk, and I totally forget what I was going to say. Just totally blank. No idea what to say. And I finally got my stuff together and continued. But then I went outside and took a lot of deep breaths, and part of me thinking, why did I ever want to do this? This is nerve-wracking. But then I realized what was happening when I was rehearsing with these bright lights. I could not see the audience. I could not see who I was talking to. And I like to talk to people. I like to see their eyeballs. And so when I went on, I asked them, would you please turn up all the house lights so I can see who I'm speaking to? And that really changed everything to me. I remembered everything. I was more comfortable. I was able to interact with the audience better. And so, again, I took charge of the situation. I'm not sure that answered your question, but well, that was a highlight for me.
Yeah, well, and it's a great thing to be able to, without interrupting the protocol, dramatically, be able to ask for some things that are doable things to help you connect to the audience. That's the huge thing that you can do, Talk Universe, because Alan wanted to connect to people. He wanted to not connect with a light bulb. He wanted to connect with the people in the room, and he found different ways of doing that. He also found a way of jumping out from behind those giant letters to get himself riled up in the mood and make that powerful connection. So, other than what you've mentioned, what was the most unexpected, strange, or just plain weird thing that happened during or before your talk, Alan?
Something strange.
Other than what you did. I mean, that may have answered the question right there. Did you preemptively do something unusual?
No, I think what happened was, that was unusual is I started the talk and they did not put the house lights up. And so what went through my head, do I continue that way? Or do I stop and ask for the house lights up? And again, I thought, I've got to take charge. I don't care. I stopped and I said, please put all the house lights up. And then when we edited the video a bit, we took that out.
Yeah.
And so I realized that was a really smart move, because who knows, I might have forgotten what I was going to say in the middle again, as I did in rehearsal. And I didn't want that to happen.
For sure. Now, we've been enjoying the Blitz Round with Allen Klein. His talk is called Our Thoughts and Intentions Create Our Reality. And you got to watch this talk. You can do that by either typing it in, or if you want the easy way, go to BeTheTalk.com. We'll have it in our show notes page, and you will be able to connect with Alan. We'll have another link over there at AllenKlein.com, AllenKlein, AllenKlein.com. And we'll be back with Allen Klein in just a moment for the final word of advice. Everyone wants to change the world, but not everyone knows the first step. Before you can change the world with your talk, it has to be selected. So grab the templates, timelines, and tools that I use to get my talk selected at BeTheTalk.com. And we're back with Allen Klein. It's time for the final word of advice for Talk Universe.
Well, I think the final word of advice is put out in the world what you want in your life, and you don't have to know. The advice is you don't have to know how that's going to happen. All you have to do is ask for it, put out your thoughts, your intention, do that every day, every single moment of the day. And if you do that, I can almost guarantee it will happen. And if it does happen, send me an email and do let me know.
Well, Allen Klein, thank you so much for carving out time in your day to come on The Talk and share your wisdom with Talk Universe.
Thank you. I had a great time.
Thanks for listening to Be The Talk. For tips and resources to help you change the world, go to BeTheTalk.com. See you tomorrow.